To now welcome back to the stage our special guest this afternoon, who's travelled all the way from Bristol. Wonderful new book out in the shambles. Please welcome back Elizabeth Parker.
Thank you, Patrick. I'd like to reiterate that I've been completely blown away by both yourself and the open mic poetry performances. Wow. So I was lucky enough to read at Hay Festival on Monday, and this is a bit of a plug, sorry. The Observer political cartoonist Chris Riddle was drawing as everyone read, and it was just amazing, and a few of the poems that I'm going to read now, he's done beautiful images for. So if you're interested, I've got a website, elizabethparkerpoetry.com, where I publish some of my poems, and I'm going to be, probably in the next week or so, publishing the images. It might take a while, I've got to do scanning and stuff like that. But they will be on my website, and I was thrilled with them. Recently went to Stonehenge for the first time with my partner Chris, and I have to say it wasn't the stones that I was fascinated by. This poem's a pantoum about that surprising reaction, and in it, Sarsens, bluestones and trilithons refer to the names of stones found on the site. Stonehenge. I had expected touch, not cordons. I barely looked at the monoliths, gazed a moment, then returned to wind, rope, rippled grass. The steward with a rook on her hand. I barely looked at the monoliths, spreading their glower over grass, as the steward fed seeds to the rook on her hand. Blue shimmers through black feathers. Their glower spreading over grass was a dark dash, the stones a blur, behind blue shimmers through black feathers, as the rook crammed his cheeks with seeds. The stones were a blur behind the sharp needs of birds. The rook cramming his cheeks with seeds, jackdaws peeling lichen from the Sarsens. Their needs sharpening with the dark, jackdaws fortified nests in the lintels with lichen peeled from the Sarsens, sheep's fleece from barbs, strength snagged from the woods. Lining nests in the lintels, jackdaws gathered softness, strength, snagged from the woods, nestled their chicks in sheep's fleece. I understood parents building forts from scraps, jackdaws gathering softness and strength while sentry crows scouted from fence posts. I understood parents building forts from scraps. I understood roosts, hunger, hands casting seeds, while sentry crows scouted from fence posts, pecked carrion, mobbed a carcass near the altar stone. I understood hunger, bones picked clean, the steward's hands casting seeds from a paper bag. I understood the coven of crows feasting near the altar stone. I didn't sense ley lines, didn't feel them pluck my blood as she gave me seeds for young starlings, the rustle of paper, their rush onto my palm. I didn't quiver at the tug of ley lines, heard no hum from bluestone or trilithon, only the rustle of paper, rush of seeds for young starlings at her feet. I heard no hum from bluestone or trilithon, only the steward waving a grimy hand over the speckled brood around her feet. They've not molted all their brown. Beyond her grimy hand, the sun flung a final lance between blackening barrows. Hills molted colour, night closed its seal. Nothing mattered but the prick of beak on palm. While the barrows blackened, I felt no spirit roads converge in my bones, no ancient voices coalesced, Nothing mattered but the prick on my palm as the universe gathered into the tip of a beak. Little one now. This sonnet begins by recounting something a friend told me about her holiday one summer. The poem's about the loss of that friendship, and the title Port Royal refers to a sunken city at the mouth of Kingston Harbour in southeastern Jamaica. Once the largest city in the Caribbean, it was destroyed by an earthquake and an accompanying tsunami, different kind of tsunami to Pete's, on June the 7th, 1692. And it uses that event as a metaphor for the lost friendship. Port Royal. While they were diving, she swam over Port Royal, her fear expanding, forcing her afloat. She tried not to look down, kept near the boat, but the guide's words, tavern, counting house, brothel, drove her mind through dark leagues to the pirate town, where sins were stored and spent, until the pious smiled, pronouncing judgment when the plates slipped, pulsed a tsunami. I've skimmed our decade together, the parks, clubs, cafes, our glowing nights, our sprawling days. Last week I turned down that back street into the arcade for the tiny bar with its door in the arch. Found murk and funk usurped by chrome, clean lines, electric monotone. So, another one of the women that I'm fascinated with, or characters, is Lavinia in Titus Andronicus. And in Shakespeare's play, revenge is enacted on the body. The most vicious attack is on Lavinia. For those of you who know it, who don't know it, where Shakespeare's take on the Philomel myth, Lavinia is raped and mutilated in a revenge attack. Her tongue is cut out and her hands are cut off, so she can't identify her attackers. This poem imagines Lavinia using a different sort of language, and it begins with a quotation from the play from Lavinia's uncle Marcus. Lavinia writes, "Sorrow concealed, like an oven stopped, doth burn the heart to cinders where it is. I dipped a finger in my mouth, strummed, then picked the stitches in the root of my stolen tongue. I tipped my head over paper, let my words pump, breach the dam, fill fibres, glut pores. The page can't hold them anymore. I write bright, long sentences over chairs, walls, floors. I sign the carpet. It is cleaned. I write bright, long sentences over chairs, walls, floors. They sew me up again, offer a fountain pen. I refuse ink, tear their neat stitcheries. I sign the carpet. It is cleaned. I watch pink words sucked by the plug hole. I refuse ink. The carpet stores a stain. I watch the plug hole suck pink water. I am offered a loom. A needle is tucked between my teeth. I am told to weave a new pattern through the weft. I am offered a loom, a needle. I refuse thread, spit the needle. It falls to the carpet with a red word. I watch the word creep through the weave. I tear more, free more, until I am fluent. and this is my last poem. I have sort of plugged this event in the Wye Valley, and in homage to the Wye Valley, this poem is about various things that you can do in the outdoors there, in that beautiful place, and it's also a poem about friendship between two young girls. Braids. After climbing Yat Rock, after slicing a track through the Wye, after moving the might of a restless, piebald pony, I braided her hair. I braided in the high air. I caught the peregrine's keen, drew it through the weave. With hands that braved cliff spiders, the brush of white egg sacs, precious, precarious pendants. With hands that braved the mothers, scurrying from their nooks, satin beads of their bodies twitching on limestone lips. I braided her hair. I braided in the silk, soft as fog, round their young. I braided in that strength. I braided in the high air. I caught the peregrine's keen, drew it through the weave. My body told its secrets that day. A grip in my fingertips I could hang my whole weight on. Under the lash of wind, I was tensile as guy lines, latched tight as the yellow blades of fleabane, the feathers of thyme and toadflax. I braided in that strength. I braided in the high air. I caught the peregrine's keen, drew it through the weave. With hands that pulsed a river, oars sweeping light from the surface as the Wye quickened with rain, I braided her hair. I gathered the foam gnashing at the boulders of New Weir Rapids. I gathered iron echoes, our calls coldly reflected as we passed under Town Bridge. I gathered the blurred banks, I gathered willow, I gathered alder, beech and ash. I braided in that strength, I braided in the high air. I caught the peregrine's keen, drew it through the weave. With hands that steered a willful pony, with a tug, the flick of an ankle, I braided her hair. I braided in the shades, fleeting through his mane. I braided in that strength. I braided in the high air. I caught the peregrine's keen, drew it through the weave. In our hotel room, I braided in the night. We pushed our beds together to bridge our secrets. I promised to always be there, to untangle her, even in the dark. I braided in that strength. I braided in the high air. I caught the peregrine's keen, drew it through the weave. Thank you very much.
All I can say for that last poem is eat your heart out, Springwatch. That was fantastic. So we've had a wonderful afternoon, and what would be nicer as spring tiptoes into summer, sitting in a room above a pub in Fitzrovia, where Bob Dylan once stood in this very spot, a young man, 21 years old, started his career, listening to astonishing poetry. What could be better than that? So, here were the open mic readers. There was Patrick Cunane, Aidan Nutbrown, Andrea Whitelock, Max Fishel, David Roberts, P.R. Murray, Lee Yan, Amy McAllister, Guyan Tilly, Kangatarin, Julian Mann. Please a round of applause. And our very contrasting but equally brilliant featured poets, Lantern Carrier and Elizabeth Parker. That's it. We're back on the 27th of June. Hope you can join us, but thanks for your involvement this afternoon. It's just been wonderful.